Welcome back, everybody. So, we are currently in the middle of the melee. So, I did not do predictions on the initial stages of this tourney. Wanted to see how everything kind of settled first for the quarterfinals. Since the first four teams were and the second four teams that advanced were going to be picked. Drafted by the other teams. So, we've had some great matches so far. It's been a very interesting tournament. The one thing we have not had are big upsets. Vancouver nearly upset Toronto on the NA side, as you guys can see from the bracket here. Toronto did come back and win that one 3-2, just barely. But yeah, Vancouver looked better than they have in any of their matches since picking up this new roster. And then, as you can see, in the NA side, we had our knockout rounds. Boston almost came back and reverse swept Paris. That was crazy. You talk about a team that's been performing a lot better. Yeah, maybe I said I didn't think that bringing in Punk on the off tank would do that much for the team, but maybe it really has. Maybe they're invigorated and just playing a lot better because they've looked solid. They beating Gladiators and taking Paris to the brink is pretty impressive. We had Atlanta take down Toronto very, very easily. Toronto had a new DPS player, Zik, he's been around contenders for a while. He is a French player on DPS. They had him in on the Echo and the May a bit. I wasn't super impressed by him. Apparently, I've heard that Surefour is taking some time off for mental, a bit of a mental reset. That's what the rumors say. I'm not sure if that's exactly accurate, but that's what I've heard. So he hasn't been playing, so it's been all logics, and then we saw no agilities. Maybe just for the melee, they were trying him out, Zik, because I know he's been known for his Hanzo and his Mei play. So maybe they were looking to try to get a bit of an upgrade in the Mei category. Even though, like I said, they didn't play a lot of Mei. It was a lot of Echo. But again, I wasn't that impressed. I saw a lot of whiffed Mei alts. His Echo was pretty solid, but not as good as Shockwave, a new rookie on the Titans who absolutely popped off and was one of the main reasons why it was so close. So, with him and Dalton now, maybe there could be hero pool issues for them moving forward because they are pretty much both hit scan players. But it was already a very good sign to see those two kind of clicking. But yeah, then we had the Gladiators take down the New Look Justice. Gladiators looked extremely clean, looked much, much improved from their debacle, after their debacle against the Uprising. So I'm very, very interested to see their match today because, they beat Washington, but Washington, they're still trying to come together as a team. They still have the new players that they're trying to incorporate. So this will be the true test to see, okay, which tier are Gladiators in? Because a lot of people have had them in an upper tier. Well, if they can keep it very close against Philly or even win, then yeah, then they absolutely deserve to be there. If they get smoked by Philly, then no, this is not a contender. This is a mid-tier team. Then we had an entertaining battle for Texas once again. Three really, really close maps, and then Dallas just kind of blew it open on Rialto and ripped through, set, of course, the fastest time ever on Rialto. They had 5 minutes and 11 seconds. Some of that was added because Houston capped with about 30 seconds, but they still capped in about it was like 4:46 or 4:47, something absolutely ridiculous. They just absolutely tore through them. Decay showed why he got signed for so much money last season because his talent is just off the freaking charts. So yeah, we had Dallas moving on. Like I said, no upsets. The 5, 6, 7, and 8 seeds all took care of business. And it set up a very, very interesting quarterfinals. We got Dallas Fuel, San Fran Shock, Los Angeles Valiant taking on Paris Eternal. Then Philly, they chose to take on LA Gladiators. And then Florida Mayhem chose the Atlanta Reign. So, about the selections themselves, no big surprise to me that San Francisco picked Dallas. Dallas has always been an opponent that they've done well against. I think that when you look at the Fuel, Eternal, Gladiators, and Reign, I think Fuel objectively do look the weakest. So no surprise there. Then Florida went and picked Atlanta. That was a little surprising for me. Personally, I would rather play Gladiators or Paris than Atlanta, just because Atlanta has a higher ceiling in my eyes. Have they struggled at parts? Yeah. Do they have a couple of weak points in their team? Yeah. But I mean, this is a team that beat San Francisco in the playoffs last year, and they've won a lot of their matches against middle tier teams, and they've even been very close or taken matches against upper tier teams. So that was surprising for me. Florida going against them. I think that is a very very evenly matched matchup. I think honestly the Valiant, Eternal, and Mayhem and Reign are going to be very, very close. I think these pairs of teams are extremely close in skill level. I think San Francisco could run away from Dallas, but it could be very close. Same thing with the other match. I think that Fusion could take this one pretty easily, or it could be very, very close. But those other two, they're coin flips for me. They really are. In terms of San Fran Shock against Fuel, I think Shock get it done in 4. I think Fuel will take a map from them. The casters did mention this, and I totally agree with it. I think Dallas's main struggle here is going to be in the Echo duel, because Rascal has proven himself to. I probably rank him like number 3, maybe number 2 in terms of all of the Echoes in the entire league. Personally, I think Libero is the best over in the Asian region. But Rascal is for sure up there with the best, and Doha has just been okay on Echo for me. The real question here is going to be Decay, but San Francisco has, they have 2 star-studded spots in terms of the DPS, and even though Doha is amazing on certain heroes, I just don't think that he's top tier on the Echo yet. So that's going to give Shock an edge, and I think that their support line is also going to be one of the deciding variables there. So, like I said, I think this was pretty close, but of all of them, I think this will be the most one-sided of the quarterfinals. But like I said, I'm expecting to see a ton of competitive Overwatch today. I don't think we should have a 3-0. I really don't. With how the 5, 6, 7, and 8 seeds are playing. So, like I said, in the end, it's San Francisco that punches their ticket into the semifinals 3-1. Then for Valiant and Eternal, going into this, I didn't think I would have Valiant going to the semis. I really didn't, but I do think that they beat Paris. I think Paris is just a little bit off. They were playing a decent amount of the Sombra towards the end. I just think that the Valiant are a little more equipped for this. I like their versatility with their DPS rotation. I think that Paris, even though Nico and Soon have proven to be a good DPS duo for sure, I think that they lose a little bit in terms of versatility. And with the Valiant being able to swap in people map to map, I think that gives them an edge. I think their tank line's also been playing really well. Dreamer has been great on the Winston, so if we do see the dive, I expect to see him being utilized quite a bit. And Paris, I don't think we're going to see a lot of double shield from them. We probably won't see a lot of Rhine, so maybe we see a little bit of Ben Best, maybe not. I just like the Valiant a little bit more here. I think they're a little bit more solid. Maybe my faith in the Paris is just shaking a little bit after seeing Boston almost reverse sweep them. But like I said, I think these two teams are very, very close, but Valiant are just a little bit better right now. So I'll take them in 5. Then, Philly versus LA Glads. Man, this is a match primed for me to pick an upset here. I'm biased. I'm a Gladiator fan. I don't really like the Fusion that much. The teams that do a ton of trash talking always kind of irk me a little bit. I'm looking at you, Houston. Gladiators coming off a really, really clean victory. But I just can't. I can't pick them. I'm going to go with Philly here. I'll say it goes to 5, goes the distance. Gladiators they need to show me. They need to show me like 2 or 3 weeks in a row They have not done it the entire season. They finally won a couple in a row. They went to 4-3. Then they let a match against Paris get away, and then they lost in 5, well, technically in 6, to Boston. So I just, even though they looked really good against Washington, Washington is not the strongest opponent that they could have played against. So I like Philly here. They're just more clean. They're more decisive. I think that their back line is still a bit better than the Gladiators, even though the Gladiators have a tremendous back line as well. Unless we just see a monstrous performance from somebody like Birdring / Mirror or a combination of the two, I just think Philly's going to win more neutral fights. I think that their tank line is going to be more healthy because, like I said, a little bit superior communication, a little bit superior heals, and that is going to prove to be the difference. But I still think it's going to be close. I trust Gladiators to come out and play well. For all of my problems I have with Depe and his coaching staff, throughout their tenure, they do, especially last season, and for the most part this season, except that Boston match, the team is prepared to play. They don't get down on themselves. They don't shut down after losing a map or two. They are good at doing that, for sure. So I'm going to go with Philly here. I think the Gladiators give them a good fight, but I don't think anybody stops Philly until they play San Francisco in the finals. Then we got Florida Mayhem and Atlanta Reign, and this, I've been critical of Florida, but they did impress me last week. They did impress me. This team looks like they've been just totally revamped. There's a whole new energy, and even though I do think Atlanta has a slightly better team, I just feel like Florida's one of those teams right now that you can almost feel this with Overwatch League teams. And sometimes they just get rolling, and they just win. It happens. There's teams like San Francisco last year that was just so good that they were just better than everybody else. They outskilled them. They outprepared them. They had better comps. They used their ultimates way better. And then there's other teams like, you could say like Boston in Season 1, where they won all their matches in Stage 3. I don't think that they were the best team that stage. I think you could make an argument that London was still better. New York was definitely still better. Teams like that, Valiant. But they just won. Because they were confident, they were decisive, and that is such an underrated thing in Overwatch. When teams just feel themselves, because we have these, every team in the league is skilled, but the teams that are bad are the teams like take your Washington. They are an extremely talented roster, but they don't have any decisiveness. Their communication is still a bit wonky. They got different people doing different things, and that's why they're losing. I feel like teams that have just gone on these rolls, teams like your Florida now, they're just kind of get on the same wavelength, and then they just kind of roll. So I'm going to go with Florida here. I think every map is close, but I'm going to give it a 3-1. And they move on. Some people might think that's an upset. Some people might favor Florida just because they've been more consistent than Atlanta. I don't know. In my opinion, these are two extremely evenly matched teams. Like I said, I would give Atlanta a slight edge in terms of talent and overall flexibility, all of that with the roster. But in the end, Florida, they're just rolling right now, and I think they keep rolling until the next round. So for semifinals, I think Shock take down Valiant pretty easily. I'll say it's a 3-1. Now I should say here, San Francisco, better team overall. I think Valiant puts up a decent fight, but in the end, the Shock, I have them as the best team right now. Then for Florida, Philly, I think this is an extremely close match. It goes to 5, and Philly edges them. These are two really good teams. I just like Philly more in clutch situations. They've proved themselves time and time again in these clutch matches. A lot of Florida's wins have been 3-0. So when they go to 5, when the pressure's on, when it's win or go home, get to the finals or not, I'm gonna trust the Fusion. More veteran players in their team for sure. I think their coaching staff is a bit better, even though they both have really good coaching staffs. And once again, in just every respect, I think Philly is just a little bit better than the Mayhem. So that sets up a Philly Shock match in the finals. And like I said, I'm going to go with the Shock. I need to see Philly beat them before I can pick them. I just need. I've been putting Philly, at like 2, at 3 for like a bunch of my power rankings. I've been keeping them right there. I'm like, yeah, they've been winning, but they haven't beat any of like the top teams. If they beat Florida, if they beat Gladiators and then they beat Florida or Atlanta and then they take down the Shock, then I'll give it up. I'll give it up. They will be number 1 until further notice. But like I said, when it comes down to it in a tournament like this, all the chips on the line, I still like San Francisco. And I think it's super close, but in the end, the Shock will clutch out. They're almost built for the no hero pools in my eyes. So there you have it. I think San Francisco are the champions of the NA Melee. Not the most shocking pick at all, no pun intended, but I have to go with what I see, and I just see them as the best team right now. They have the past success, the experience, and I think that will push them through in the end. Then quickly going over the Asian region, we had a couple of great matches. New York coming back and taking down Chengdu after falling down 2-1. And then Shanghai taking down London in a very tight series as well. Sets up that rematch of New York-Shanghai. Of course, last time Shanghai reverse swept the Excelsior. And then we had the Seoul take down Hangzhou 3-0, setting up a matchup with the number 1 seeded Charge, who of course had a bye. So definitely going to go with the Charge over Seoul. Seoul had a nice 3-0 over Spark. I could see him getting 3-0'd here. I have no faith in Seoul. Seoul has gone from my lower tier of contenders teams to the teams that are good, but in the end are pretenders because they don't have consistency. They're the number 7. Like, they finished lower in May than Chengdu and London. I can't put my faith in a team like that. I don't care how much talent they have. I don't care about past success. They have several champions on this team. I just don't care. I need to see it from them. Charge have been rolling right now. I think that they're going to be prepared. They're going to watch. They'll have watched the last matches to see what kind of what to go with in terms of the meta, as well as of course what they've practiced. So I think Charge are looking a lot better than Dynasty right now. They take that one pretty easily. Then between New York and Dragons, I'm going to go with the Dragons here. New York they didn't look that comfortable in this meta against Chengdu, and I'll give Chengdu credit. I think they played really well. I think Shanghai struggled more than New York did in their match, just in terms of like their own gameplay. Thought that New York definitely had harder competition. But I'm gonna go with Shanghai here. Like I said, New York, they just have a couple of things that seem off to me. I think Shanghai is able to take advantage of that, and I think this one's a 3-1. I don't think New York gets 2 maps off of them here. Their 2 CP and their control worries me a little bit. And I think Shanghai will take advantage of that, grab a couple of those, and then either they'll grab the hybrid or the escort to send themselves into the finals. And then Charge versus Dragons. I'm going to go with Dragons again. They've looked a little bit shaky lately. I do still think they're a bit better than the Charge. The Charge had a very, very good May. But with no hero pools, I think Shanghai is going to be able to take advantage of the like the Echo Sombra. We've seen that a lot in the Asian region. But I think they're going to be able to take advantage of May better than the Charge on a couple of different points and a couple of maps. And in the end, that might be the difference that pushes them across the top. I like their flexibility a little bit more, and I think their communication is a bit better as well. I think the Charge are just they're going to let a couple of fights get away from them, and they'll probably, in the end, that'll probably be the difference of one map. And even though it's super competitive, I'm going to take Shanghai to edge it out and win the Melee Asian region. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I kind of like the no hero pools for the tournaments. That is what we're going to have for the playoffs. So, it's good to see a little bit of a preview of it now. I'm very curious to see, especially in the NA region, to see if we get a lot more dive with dive echo, or if we see more of the double shields, your bunker type, if that is able to shut down the dive. Because, we've seen the dive work really well against the bunker and vice versa. So, it might just come down to execution between these teams. I'm super excited to see the matches today. Hopefully you guys are as well. Let me know what your predictions are, who you got winning it all in each region, why you agree with some of my picks, or why you disagree with some of my picks. Very curious to see what you guys have to say. But as always, thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.